Hola, my friends. Welcome back to the Yoni Swell podcast. My name is Jordan, and if you're new here, thank you for joining and welcome. Today, we are exploring what I call the functional freeze pattern, why capable, self-aware people can feel stuck when it comes to expansion. You are not stuck. You are simply at the edge of expansion. Sit with that, feel into that, and embrace that you may be learning how to feel safe as you step into more, into receiving more, and stepping into that edge. So take a moment and reflect on perhaps what that edge is for you. And it can feel like a very specific kind of experience. In the past, it may have felt like confusion. It's not confusion. And it's not a lack of clarity. So many times we are learning to trust ourselves, and that lack of clarity could be some of that self-doubt coming forward. But I assure you that you are right on time and exactly where you need to be. So keep on listening. It's okay that you may be at a point in your life where you're learning to trust yourself. And maybe you weren't even aware that you had that self-doubt. And so this is you stepping into trusting yourself because you are here with me listening to this podcast. And I assure you what you are experiencing is not confusion. And it's not a lack of clarity. You are stepping into expansion and receiving more. So it's a quiet pull forward into a new version of yourself, mixed with a subtle hesitation in your body. And check in with how you're feeling. It could feel like you're standing at the edge of the ocean. You can feel and sense the water is calling you in, calling you forward. And maybe you can sense what is potential, what the potential is that is now becoming available beyond that point, that edge. And at the same time, perhaps there's something in your body that pauses. Not because you don't want it, because I trust that you have the desire and you are conscious of that desire to want more. But it may be because you're learning how to receive it. And once received, you're learning how to hold it, to hold the space, to embody it, and sit with your own expansion. What does it feel like to expand into something new? This may be something brand new for you. And you may feel like an infant slowly learning how to walk. There's also something deeper happening here within your nervous system. Your body is constantly quietly sensing your environment. Reflect on that for a moment. And we really don't do this through thought, but through feeling into what we are sensing. And beneath everything, your body is asking one simple question. Is this safe? And based on that, your system shifts. There can be moments where you feel open and ready to explore, connected, inspired, able to receive. There may be moments where you feel like things are flowing naturally, steady, and supported. And there may be moments where you feel activated. Like, oh, the energy is moving. It's moving forward. I'm moving forward. And at the same time, this is where our intellectual ability can often step in times 10, where your mind wants to figure everything out. It wants to move, it wants to create momentum. It wants to think its way through having control. And in those moments where your mind may feel like it's spiraling and it's very active, and all of a sudden you're now living up here in the mind, and you may have disconnected from what the body is actually sensing. And this is where the hesitation comes in. This is where the freeze pattern starts to get real present in your reality. And so this is where it's so important to be present with the sensations in your body and what your body is feeling, where you may feel tension, stuckness, or even an opening of what feels like life force energy moving throughout your body. This does take practice. And if you're not aware of it at first, I assure you, this presence and awareness with your body is possible for you. And I want to take a moment to simply pause with what we are talking about and this information that you are now receiving and absorbing and processing within your own reality. Perhaps you are reflecting on how this affects you and how this shows up for you. Because it may be very possible that you feel safe in the mind, where if I can just think my way through this situation, I will figure it out. Therefore, I have control. And that control is a form of protection. It's a form of defense. And it's a form of, I can figure this out. I can do this on my own. And that at the same time is the freeze pattern. Because you're now living up here in your intellectual mind. As I mentioned, there is a fair disconnection from the body that is perhaps happening. And when this happens, your over-identifying mind is now overriding your intuition. It is now actually overriding your nervous system and communicating with the body, but in a way where your thoughts are now enhancing a form of anxiety, a form of stress, a form of the freeze pattern. It could be a variation of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn pattern. And this is also when the gears of survival mode start to kick in. And so when the body is feeling anxious and the body is in that survival mode, then the mind continues to enhance that feeling. When the body is calm, the mind will follow. So we want to get real present with how the body is feeling and that it is safe to feel and to be present with discomfort. And that takes practice. So I am inviting you here to give yourself grace and have compassion with how perhaps this pattern may show up in your life, because this at some point for a sustained amount of time likely kept you safe. It served a purpose, and it's very possible that that purpose has now outgrown itself. I trust that you have a conscious desire to create change, and I trust and feel into those who are coming to this channel, to this podcast, have already been doing the inner work. They have already been taking action towards going within, confronting their own limitations so that they can go out there, so that you can go out there into the world and create a life that you desire and that is in alignment with your heart, so you can move through life with clarity and ease and receiving and embodiment, and also holding your own container of expansion. So in this moment, let's check in with our inner world. And we get to acknowledge that we all, regardless of our gender, have masculine energy and feminine energy. And that feminine energy is where the creation energy lives. It correlates to our sacral chakra. That is our creative space, right? But in order to feel safe to create, we have to be able to receive what feels in alignment with our heart and our inner voice and our intuition. So that sacral chakra, and your sacral chakra is your second chakra, and it's just above your root chakra. And so it's right around your hip line, and below is your root chakra. The root chakra has to do with stability and feeling safe. And if your root chakra isn't grounded into the earth or into who you naturally are, not a conditioned or distorted version of who you were that was operating from survival mode in order to feel safe, if that root chakra doesn't feel safe and grounded, then each chakra above is going to operate from wherever that root chakra is. So what we're doing here in the Yoni Swell space is learning how to create safety in our body. We are building and cultivating trust from within so that we can then take our masculine energy, which is going to help us go out and create what we know is in our hearts. So the feminine, your feminine energy, your ability to discern what is true for you, your ability to know what it is that you want to create that feels good for you, that is in alignment with your value, with your self-worth. We need to be present with what that is. And if the feminine doesn't feel safe, she's not going to create from that pure natural space. She's then going to create from distortion, survival. I need to do this in order to survive. And that is not how we are naturally built. However, that is a response, a form of a stress response that our body learned at some point in order to survive. So this is where we get to check in with what feels safe for us and to allow with compassion for us to confront what are my limitations and what are the patterns that I have been operating from. Do I even know what feels safe in my body? And do I also have this urge to constantly think my way through, to strategize, to figure out, to overanalyze, to analyze? I can come up with a solution. Whereas you can, this is possible for you, create a space where you are receiving the knowledge, the resources, everything you need in order to discern what the next step is. And as you're feeling safe from this place of your pure natural potential, you can go out there and create. So the feminine needs the masculine, and the masculine needs the feminine. We need these two parts in balance, cohesively communicating to one another from a natural space that is connected with our heart. Because again, when the body feels safe, the mind will follow, and the heart is the bridge between this cohesion. I also invite you to reflect on this specific time there are some people who will find this podcast later and in divine timing for them. So maybe this comment about the current astrology won't be relevant regarding or relative to their current moment, but it does matter because then it creates reflection on how the astrology can really support you. So right now, I invite you to reflect on how your body is feeling on this day, which is March 23rd. We have experienced the lunar eclipse full moon in Virgo, which is where we were activated through the body's consciousness so that we could become present with what pattern we are simply needing to allow to dissolve and to let go of. And because of that potent Virgo energy, it was being activated and released and coming to the surface through our bodies and how we are feeling. Literally, the memory of the pattern in its own consciousness came up through the body to be released. So you may have needed to move the body, to move that energy through. That does not happen through the intellectual mind. And then we experienced the Pisces new moon recently in the last 2 weeks, and we are still in that energy. And so much of that energy is about also releasing and dissolving what is meant to be culminated through the body, right? The Virgo Pisces axis is the mind-body connection. So you could actually holistically look at this as what needs to be released and dissolved in order for the mind-body connection to have a cohesive relationship. And the bridge between the two is the heart. When our nervous systems are regulated, we are able to listen to our intuition. And if we are only operating from that freeze pattern, we are only operating from the mind, which tends to, like I said, override your intuitive guidance, your intuitive GPS navigation system. And so check in with your intention around where you want to be operating from and creating from. This is a beautiful opportunity to rebuild and to recreate a fluid foundation with your life force energy, your unique energy signature from your body, and your heart and your mind will follow. Imagine having thoughts that are in alignment with your self-love and your self-worth and your gifts, your talents, and your ability to receive and expand and create from a place that is heart-led, perhaps soul-led, that will contribute to your quality of life. And by nature, that contributes to the whole and helps make the world a better place. This is possible for us, especially as we are entering into this reality of technology playing an extreme role in our reality and how AI is increasingly having a presence. I'm going to be really careful around my words because this is not, my intention is not ever to be doom and gloom, but we need to be realistic with ourselves about the polarity of light and dark and the polarity of good and evil, and that evil does exist. And the more that we can educate ourselves on how evil is manifesting in the world, we can then align our hearts with our own values, with our own inner light, and operate from there and allow that to ripple out into the world. Where we are going in the next 5 years is we need to fully embody, embrace our connection with our hearts. The more we can connect and operate from our hearts, the more it's going to dismantle technology and AI as a way of taking over humanity. We are the agents of our own creativity, and there's no form of technology or AI that can replace the human spirit. And so I share this message as a reminder of how beautiful we as humans are, and that as much as AI and technology can help improve the human experience, it can never replace the human spirit and the human heart. And so as we are moving through these shifts, these changes, and a lot of the radical power control dynamics are taking place and manifesting on this planet, and more secrets being revealed, more and more people in roles of leadership falling to grace. It's a way for us to educate ourselves on where we actually want to be operating from. And so I have gone on a little bit of a tangent, but I share this experience because the more we educate ourselves on the reality that we are entering, the more we can fully step into and embody what's in our hearts and what is healthy for our nervous systems, emotional regulation, and creating from a place that is heart-led and that is in alignment with our values. If I were going to parallel, operating from that freeze pattern in the mind, it is very material based and, technology based. You can't heal the emotional. So the way in which we heal and we process emotion is we heal through the emotional body. We have a mental body, a physical body, a spiritual body, and an emotional body. Did I say those four? Mental body, physical body, spiritual body, emotional body. And in order for us to truly evolve and to heal and to make change in our lives, we have to heal through the emotional body. And in astrology, this correlates to Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. We have to emotionally process what is happening. We don't do that through the mind. And if you're fully and only operating from the mind, then you're not actually operating from a cohesion that is natural to who you are from a mind, body, heart, and spirit point of view. The nervous system is never going to regulate itself and feel safe. The nervous system is not ever going to feel safe, regulate itself, and also access listening to one's intuition if you're only operating from the freeze pattern. So here in this space, this is the work we do together within the Yoni Swell Nervous System Reset Incubator. It's a 7-day program that initiates you on your path. And we also go deeper into this in the one-on-one programs. And so that moment of hesitation that I'm speaking about when your body seems to shut down and you go into that freeze pattern, this is what we in the space of Yoni Swell are calling functional freeze. And so it's not that something is wrong with you, but this is a deeply intelligent response from survival. It's a way your system learned to protect you when something felt like it was too much. This can feel like overwhelm. It may feel like it's too fast, or this next step is too unfamiliar. And you might notice this showing up in small, familiar ways. And I invite you to check in again to the body, because the pattern will show up in the same space within your chakra system, within your body, and it will feel the same. So then you can start noticing, just notice. And when you notice, something opens up, and then your body says, oh, this is unfamiliar. So, I need to shut down. And then you may feel a surge of clarity, and then you begin to question it. So it's like this fluctuation of when you start to notice, it's a fluctuation of awareness. But that's good, because something is opening up, and you know that something is moving, and you want to move this energy through, and maybe you just don't know how. But then you may circle around it, and instead of stepping into opening it up for the change, you may avoid it. And this is not like intentional avoiding, or because you are not wanting success for yourself. But it's because your system is now gauging, adapting, questioning what to do next, because it's unfamiliar. So it's taking it in. Your body's taking it in, measuring the safety. And for many people, this pattern is rooted from earlier experiences. And I remind you that you're exactly where you need to be. And you're right on time. Because now the awareness that we are bringing into your space, this is where the emotional connection starts to open up, and expression starts to move and be felt. For many people, this pattern is rooted from earlier experiences where emotional connection, expression, or having needs, your ability to know your own self-worth, didn't always feel fully safe. This is where there may have been subtle moments of shame, inconsistency. And when I say shame, I mean learned shame. This can also show up as learned helplessness, or feeling like you always had to adjust yourself, modify, in order to be accepted, to be heard, or to be seen. This is the deeper work we go into when you decide to work within the Yoni Swell containers. And in fact, right now, you are doing the work, because you are present and bringing in awareness into your physical reality right now, into your body. And I invite you to remember that our bodies are very intelligent. Your system adapts naturally, easily. And so this is when you may experience staying in the mind. If I think my way through this, then I am safe. And this allows you to have control, where things feel more contained, because perhaps in the past, feeling didn't feel safe. This is also where you can think and analyze and prepare. If I just prepare enough, then I won't get hurt. Then I won't feel vulnerable. And if I'm not vulnerable, then I'm safe. And so these are all memories that the body carries, and the immediate response to go into the mind, to freeze into thought patterns, is a very natural response. And so now we get to simply let our body know that we are present, that we are here, And we are open to receiving, we are open to expanding, and we are learning how to coach our body into trusting that that is safe. I also wanted to share, and going back into Mars being in Pisces right now, I also invite you to ask yourself how your body's feeling right now in this energy. You know, the planet Mars, ruled by Aries, does represent the body. It's our ability to take action and to move energy through our body. It's initiation. It's about courage. It's about having the courage to take up space. And Mars in Pisces is literally moving through and letting go of and dissolving the stuck energy and patterns and old conditioning through the body, because Pisces is the culmination of something. And Mars has been traveling through the zodiac wheel for 2 years. And so Mars in Pisces is definitely like you swimming in the ocean and just allowing that ocean salt water to cleanse and to clear and to purify. So you may feel like there are certain parts of you that are stuck one moment and then it's being released. You may feel the need to do more movement, but in a gentle way to help release what has been stuck and what you have been healing and processing and moving through. And so now we are in the spring equinox energy, if you're in the northern hemisphere. And we now have all these planets in Aries that Mars rules, but Mars being ruled by that Neptune, there is a mutual reception, and I will try and keep this as simple as possible. They are communicating to one another. So no matter what is ending, it needs to end because there is a brand new beginning that is happening. So we are never moving backwards into the old energy, into the old patterns, into the old versions of ourselves. That's why this energy or this time, this turning point, can feel so potent. And Pisces energy is also what you can see in it is what you can sense and what you can feel, but you can't fully see the path forward. So that's where we are called to trust. So this brings up your relationship around your ability to trust, your ability to sit in what feels uncomfortable. Because the only way we're going to move forward is through. And so take a moment to sit with that and know that you are supported. And this is where the receiving happens. This is where our own expansion is felt. And even though we may not have felt safe in the past, we are learning how to feel safe now. And this can take time for your nervous system to adapt and to embody and to embrace. So some of the ways we can see and witness how the freeze pattern can show up, it can be through procrastination or spending time overthinking. And this is really a form of subtle self-protection, a way of staying near the ocean shoreline, close enough to feel the possibility of getting in the water, but not actually stepping into the water, not fully immersed yet, but you want to. The desire is there. But what is holding your body back from feeling safe and stepping into that space? And when you ask these questions, your intuition will answer. It may not be in that exact moment, but it will come. And this is where you're learning. This is where your system is beginning to realize that something new is possible, that there is potential there, and that it is safe for you to step into it, to experience. to experience that moreness. Your masculine energy wants that more, that expansion. It has that desire. And again, we need to go back into the feminine, into the nervous system, and create safety, feelings of safety, sitting with discomfort and allowing that ease, that support, that trust to be embodied and felt. And this is where you will become more comfortable with your own visibility to receiving. So when you find yourself pausing and overthinking, not moving into the way you expected, this also brings up our relationship with our own expectations. How attached are you to your own expectations from yourself and from others? So it's not that you're blocked, it's that your system is asking, can I trust this? Can I soften in this moment? Can I receive? Can I be open? And can I go at my own space? So this is again the reminder that you are the agent. You are the change agent of your own life. You have agency over your own choices. You are in charge. And instead of forcing yourself past that edge of the ocean, what if you allowed yourself to meet it in a different way? This is where the art of allowing begins. Feminine energy, the essence of your divine feminine. The art of allowing with discernment. Does this feel natural to me? Does this feel true to me? Is this in alignment with my values? What is my inner voice, my intuition saying? Allowing doesn't mean doing nothing. It means softening the urgency to push yourself more. It means you are allowing yourself to receive the information and the resources that are meant for you, because with discernment, you are trusting that what is meant for you will find you, because you are already in alignment with what your heart desires. So it means you're starting to notice when your body tightens or you feel that tension and that urge for the mind to override, for you to go into that freeze mode. And sitting in discomfort as a way to process what's happening and to be present with it so that you can naturally soften this part of you. It's as if you're coaching your body into feeling what is safe versus what is perceived as safe. Take a moment in your day, throughout your day, and notice when your shoulders get tightened. Soften your shoulders. And notice when you may move into the overthinking. And gently return back to your body. When you do this, your intuition joins in on the conversation. To the sensation with soft whispers of guidance. And back to your breath. And back to your body. And back to the part of you that is learning how to feel safe. And likely this is brand new. You can imagine even this, like the ocean. Instead of forcing yourself to dive in, you let the water come to you. So you step into it and allow the water to meet you where you're at. First at your feet, and then your ankles, and taking your time. And if you're a surfer, then you can reflect on the moments when you enter the water and how you transition to jumping on your board and deciding when to paddle. This is you letting your body adjust and feeling into the sensations that are becoming familiar, because safety isn't something that you think your way into. It's something your body experiences in small, grounded moments. And as your system begins to feel that, even in the subtle shifts, it naturally starts to shift on its own. From protection, over identifying in the mind, those spirals of thoughts where you find yourself always saying, oh, that makes sense. Take a moment and release yourself from that saying and step into feeling into the openness and your own ability to allow and to hold your space, to release yourself from the old patterns, the hesitation, the questioning. And you don't need to force them out. You can simply be present with them and acknowledge those patterns and actually love them up and say, thank you for helping me get to this point. Thank you for teaching me about how I learned how to create safety in the past. And so that softness that you move into, it's like when the ocean water meets the sand and just dissolves away what is no longer meant to be there. The old parts of you that once served a purpose that are now ready to move on their evolutionary path, dissolving into that water. And from this space, a different kind of movement becomes available for you. And it's not rushed. It's not forced. But sustainable and steady, anchored, aligned. And check in with how that can feel and how that feels right now in this moment. And this is where expansion doesn't feel like something you have to do in order to become. And if I just think enough, then I will become it. That's the illusion. This is something that you naturally begin to allow yourself to embody. That is what embodied lived experience is. You now are operating from your own inner wisdom. This is the shift, embodied lived experience, which then becomes your wisdom. And it's going from controlling the urge to control through thought, stepping into now trusting through my body's wisdom, my heart, my intuition. And this is when you go from standing on the edge to slowly, gently stepping in. And you don't have to rush this. There's nothing for you to prove. You don't have to get it all right. You're not being judged, measured. It's not a competition. In this moment, you can simply begin by noticing where you are with presence, awareness, compassion, noticing what you feel and allowing yourself to meet that space with a little more softness, compassion, a little more presence, a little more trust. Because the part of you that pauses is not holding you back. It's walking with you, shoulder to shoulder, as you learn how to expand more into receiving within your inner container with more life, your own life force energy, more expansion, more of yourself. You can reflect on when you have a desire and you set a goal. That is your masculine energy, setting the goal, having the desire, And so now your body gets to follow and say, yes, we can create that. And so just take a moment to notice your breath. Notice your body. Notice where you might be standing on your own edge. And invite that in. What does it feel like? To soften even more slightly. And to let yourself be supported right here in this moment. And remember that you're right on time. You're exactly where you need to be. And you're perhaps at a threshold moment where something is truly opening within you. And you get to move forward with that. Something new. Something that is truly yours and has your name on it in your own timing. And trust that. Thank you for being here. I'm honored to share this space with you. I am sending you oceans of love. And I will connect with you on the next one. I will see you in the next episode. Have a beautiful rest of your day, your evening, your week, and bye now.